What is going on, everybody? It's a new week, and Money Monday is here again. Hope everybody had a great week last week. I know the Mavericks did in the Simpler Trading Room. We are here for a new week, another weekly Watchers watch list with Maverick Mike. And happy Halloween to everybody, because I won't see you on Friday. Don't go out and eat too much of your kids' candy this weekend. We need you for next week's weekly Watcher. But always enjoy yourself, dress up, have fun with your special spouse, because I know that's what I'll be doing. I'm always forced into wearing some sort of outfit. But it'll be fun. I'm excited for it. And I pulled out the orange today, not only because it's Halloween, but because the Miami Dolphins have got themselves another win. Let's go, guys. Not letting down on my team yet. Season's not over. Let's go, Tua. One eye Tua did his thing. He was the pirate. Jack Sparrow, Tua Sparrow, was doing his thing this week. But let's talk about stocks because that's why everybody's here today. If you guys are interested in stuff like this, hit the subscribe button below right now or check me out on simplertrading.com under the Stock Mavericks room. I do this every single week and I have a community of traders that I trade with every single day. I live trade and show my screens. But this week, we already have started off with some money. So shout out to the Simpler team for tagging some bags already. And NWBL, if you look at the alerts, you'll be able to see here. We actually got a nice OTC stock overnight. It started with the listed one first, Wrecker, and then we got a nice OTC bag. So over $1,000, over 12%, 15% on our account growth. And we're going to continue to keep trying to grow that account with the team. So would love to have you a part of that. But this is the weekly watch list. Every single weekly watch list for me, I divide up into sectors first because most of my profit comes from sector momentum. Then I get into listed stocks and then I do options and OTCs. So let's dive in because I don't want to take too much of your day. The way I would treat this weekly watch list before I start, I would say treat it like a newspaper that you can actually make money from, not a newspaper that you're just reading through, which newspapers are great, not hating on newspapers at all. I actually like them. I hated them when I was younger. Now I like them a lot. I want to subscribe to more. So treat this as one of your other free subscription newspapers that you can actually make money from. So this is just a weekly watch list for you to eye down. Doesn't mean buy every single one of these for this week. Now you do, how I'm going to read these stocks is they're going to have the stock and then it's going to have the pattern. If you aren't familiar with my patterns, there's other videos on YouTube you can check out, and it's the sniper patterns videos. You can always go check those out. Would love for you guys to be a part and understand exactly what I'm saying. But the stock is first, the pattern is next. And that's how I'm going to read this watch list. So let's dive in. The first sector that we're going to go into is quantum stocks. And if you watch quantum, they've actually cooled down a little bit in this week. Before I actually dive into quantum, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let me actually just bring up the QQQ and SPY, which I have pulled up here. The QQQ and SPY have gapped up to new all-time highs to start the week. They went through a little bit of rough patches the past 2 weeks after a big dip day on Friday 2 weeks ago, but the market's gapped up and they've done nothing but bounce since then. So any rough patch, it seems like we get bounces. It's been like that for about 3, 4 months now, which is beautiful to see, and it just means we're in a bull market. A lot of people would say we're in a bubble. That's the favorite thing to say. But if we are in a bubble, I think there's more to it. So I think we got a lot more that's coming up. So get excited. Don't just think to short everything, because that could definitely burn your account. So now with the strength in the market, we have to talk about the sectors that have strength. And the quantum sector was one of them. But when the markets went through a rough patch the past 2 weeks, a lot of these sectors I'm gonna go over, they went through a rough patch too. And that's a good thing because now they're causing bounces, and that's where we'll try to take advantage. So the first group would start with RGTI and QBTS are usually the leaders. I mean, I also look at IONQ and QURE. Those are all also leaders. But I personally like the cheaper stuff. I like to go after the smaller cap, and that would range more with QUBT, and you can actually look at options if you wanted to there. QSI is a decent watcher. and that one's been trading in a decent range now, holding 220 with quantum stocks bouncing today. This could be actually a good watcher to start the new week. So for those of you guys that are watching QSI, put that on your watch list and put some alerts too. I'd always recommend alerts. But that is the quantum list. There could be a lot more, but I didn't want to highlight tons of stocks in each sector. Since I am going over 5 sectors right now, I really only put one stock in each sector. And Bitcoin is the next one. Bitcoin gapped up over the weekend. You can see both BTC and Ethereum gapped up. And now I'm watching other stocks to bounce. A lot of Bitcoin stocks already bounced. The one that didn't is CAN, but that's because it came out with an offering. That offering caused the dip pretty ugly yesterday, but we're holding now, or I mean Friday, but we're holding now. If we hold, I think we can actually squeeze out if Bitcoin continues to squeeze. So that's the only one I put on the list there for Bitcoin. And then with metals, we're panicking pretty hard. If I look at the long-term watch list of metals, we've fallen down below the support spots of last week, which means we want to come lower, which is fine with me because a lot of them got too overextended. But when will we get the bounce? Now we start to really look. TMRC is one of my favorite. We made some good money from this gap up to this gap up. Now looking for the panic back to one, in my opinion. And then last but certainly not least, actually one of my favorite sectors to watch this week, the top sector that everybody should be watching this week. And if you didn't know about it, now you know. Last week, Beyond Meat ran from 50 cents to 7.60. Beyond Meat. Now, yes, Beyond Meat was once like $100 company, but they've gone completely out in the mud. Everybody has come to realize that it isn't the best meat for you, and it's pretty much the worst vegan meat. And I mean, I'm not going to talk crap, but it went from 50 all the way to 760, which is causing amazing, amazing volume. And volume causes opportunity, and that's usually what creates the patterns we play. It caused a breakout from $1 to 760. We actually played this from 130 only to like 220. It was barely anything. I wish I would have held it more. But we played options and stock. So very nice opportunity. Now I think we can do the same thing for the bounce. And where I want it to bounce is 150. I think we need one more red day out of it. And if we do get that 150 flush, 175 is that next low. If we can crack 190 first, then 175, I think 150 would be a perfect spot to try to dip by it. And if we do, we either buy options or equity. It's up to you because both of them are very volatile lately. Or you can also look at other meme stocks like Donut, which is Krispy Kreme donuts. You can look at GoPro, which has landed into the meme stock category somehow, but it is in that meme stock category. And then 1-800-Flowers, which is for sure a meme stock. Just sounds like one. And then the last one is Noodles and Company, which I've never ate there, but if you've ate there before, they actually squeezed from 60 cents to $1.20. You could have made 100% off Noodles and Company last week. And I didn't even know that they were a brick and mortar, but if you look at it, it's oh, it looks like there's some in Orlando. I might have to go. Here it is. So maybe if I make money off of it, I'll go eat there. And then let's get into listed stocks now. For listed stocks, there's no particular sector. I'm just eyeing down what I'm eyeing down. This one I was looking for a morning momentum play. The fact it gapped down, it's out of my range, so I'm no longer interested. Hover, looking for a first green day. This was obviously a fake green day, and we've pulled down pretty nicely, which is fine with me. Can we double bottom now and bounce? That's what I'll be looking for. So these things. So what happened? I went to Europe 3 weeks ago, and what happened? A lot of these small cap stocks absolutely blew the top off, which means they squeezed and they squeezed and they squeezed, and they actually did it for 2.5 weeks. A lot of them. Hover was one of them that went from 180 to 4. Now I'm not saying that this is a big drop just because the stock went from 180 to 4, but it's big enough for me to start really looking into. And if we don't double bottom at 240, then yes, we are going to come lower. So that's why I say take these kind of with your coffee, not just go buy every single one of them. The next group of stocks are robotic stocks. Robotic stocks have been hot. There's a lot of robotic things that are going around. I just went to Europe, like I said, and when I went there, there was actually a wheelchairs in the Miami airport that drive themselves. So you just put the old lady in the wheelchair and you watch it drive. Pretty cool stuff there. New robotic stuff's going to be on the rise. Wrecker has a weighting system for trucks, so to weigh trucks on turnpikes and stuff like that. All different robotic stuff is popping up. This one we made money over the weekend, but we sold it pre-market for the nice profit. A lot of other ones have come back down pretty hard. iRobot is the iRobot, that Roomba kind of thing that's driving around your living room probably at one time in your life. It's another robotic stock. SES. So most of these stocks are coming down more, which is fine. That just means that they have a possibility to continue. Buru. This is a drone stock, drone defensive stock. Defensive stocks have been pretty hot lately, so keeping an eye on that. LAES, recent runner. And then NINE, the only reason why I put this one on there is because it had a huge day with oil stocks. Other oil stocks like TPET and HUSA had small spikes last week, and so did that one. So if that one can start off, I'll keep watching. And then the last listed stock I did was a short, but the volume stinks. So unless the volume comes in, we'll see. Now, options and OTCs is where I'll finish it off, and these are probably my favorite because I usually like to play cheaper stuff. So with options, SOUN, we have a first green day that's actually trying to form right now, today. And this list is created every Monday before the market at 8:30, 8:15, and I usually go over it with my team in the Simply Trading Room under Stock Mavericks. So if you're wondering why stuff's up or why stuff's moving, it's because I'm going over it live right now on Monday. But if you did want to have that access early, you can always come check me out before. Lulu was a perfect one to catch. It actually had news of a deal with the NFL pre-market, and this one we've had on watch since last week. And it took a beautiful dip, and now it's trying to bounce, so we'll keep our eyes there. But nice move there in Lulu. Target is a first green day, and another one that I think is oversold. Both Lulu and Target, I think, are decent ones to start watching for your long-term accounts. And I'm not a long-term trader, so don't take my advice there, but I just think they're oversold. Ford for a short, but I wanted a gap up. So we need one more push maybe in Ford for the short. And then last but certainly not least, I always finish with OTCs. And the OTCs, HGRAF, we have a clear breakout that's coming up. Another one that actually looks like a breakout that actually I just found today, so I'll put it on there right now. The only one that really kind of just added to my list is XTRAF. And this one looks pretty good for a possible overnighter today to tomorrow. So if you are seeing this video on Monday, or if you're seeing it on Tuesday, look at what happens on this stock. It has to hold 58, but if it holds 58, we'll see if we can play that. ZNOG is an oil stock, so I put another oil stock on there, but too light volume. NWBO is the one we took overnight, and it's still in play. It has huge buyers down here. You can see there's like 200K in buyers that are lining up. And it also had news with Advent Health, which is or Advent Bioscience. It's a pretty big company. And the last time it had news with this company, it spiked from 20 cents to 36. Now it's halfway there. So let's see if we can do it again. Benny is the old Mulin. Shout out to all those people on Twitter that used to talk crap about a Mulin, because look what happened now. It's an OTC at 10 cents. So it usually happens to these crappy stocks and you don't want to hold them. Only reason why I put VRNOF on there is because cannabis MSOS started up a little bit last week with news that people are taking less opioids because of cannabis, so that's a plus. But unless that starts up, I'm not going to really do anything with VRNOF. And then ZCSH is a short. I like this for a short without a doubt. Once Bitcoin cools off, Bitcoin's hot right now, but Bitcoin will probably cool off later this week, and that's when I'm looking to do that. Finishing it off with sub pennies, this was like the first stock I've ever traded, and the fact that it's back up. They used to actually have a storefront in South Florida, so shout out Grill It. If these could get started up, we might get other ones that start up. So I just have a small list of super sub pennies, I call them. But hey, you never know. OTCs are beautiful. I mean, we had a big runner in Nubo MDNEF over the weekend. Was up like 30% at one point. So let's see. You never know. You always have to put yourself in the right position. But it's important for you guys to realize that if I do play any of these stocks, they have to have the right pattern, the right volume, and of course, the right risk. I'm never going to set myself up to just drain my account. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed this. See me here next Monday for another weekly watch list, hopefully with a bag from one of these stocks. And click that subscribe button or check me out on Stock Mavericks on the Simply Trading website. Peace, guys. Have a great week.